Good morning, everybody.
What's going on, brother? Finally, the day is here. The day that all college football fans wait for in War Damn Eagle. It is college football Saturday. And I know, of course, Brandon over here, he's a very passionate SEC fan. He feels about like I do. I count down the days from when the very last game goes off to the very first game comes back around. I love college football. Don't get me wrong. Pro football is fine, but, being from Alabama, college football is exactly where it's at. And, it's how we do things down there in the South. So
Absolutely.
we're going to go over these. Go ahead, bud.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, the SEC, in my opinion, best conference in the world. But we don't have to talk about that right now.
Right. We ain't got to talk about that right now. That's a biased opinion, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's our biased opinion that the SEC is the best conference. But, numbers don't lie. So, all right, here we go. We're going to talk about the top 25. We're going to break down. We're going to give you what we think our upset of the week. I'm going to give Brandon, I think from looking at the schedule, I looked at it like 2 or 3 times last night, and I just don't think one's going to do justice on this one.
No, I have to agree. It's going to be a very interesting week. You've got a lot of top teams playing a lot of underdogs that could pull one out of the hat very, very easily.
Very, very easily. And if you've watched college football for years, that's how it goes. That's how it can go almost every year. Is you never know what the hell's going to happen in college football. So that's just how it goes. We did have UAB. We've had some. This is not the first college football week, but let's be honest. There's not been a whole lot of ranked teams that's played. So, and it's not been much. It's been smaller football. Like all the way down to Conference USA. We had UAB taking on South Alabama. UAB gets the win, 42-10. Their quarterback threw for 319 yards. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
Not much on the rushing, but for 105 yards at UAB, that's pretty impressive. That's about what the Conference UAC usually pulls in, is somewhere around. Their running backs run somewhere between 1 to 250 yards, somewhere in there. That's pretty decent for them. So the best receiver they had was Watkins. He had 183 receiving yards. I like UAB. It's for me being from Alabama. UAB's the little brother that we all pull for. I think that's like the one team that Alabama fans and Auburn fans actually pull for together. That's the one thing we agree on. At least they're playing one of us or something. We always want to see UAB succeed. You also had Middle Tennessee against UTSA. UTSA gets to win 37-35. I did not see these games. I did not watch them, so I can't really break them down for you guys. It's just one of those things I was either busy, and of course some people know me and Brandon have a lot of other podcasts and a lot of other things we do. So unless it's the top 25, that's where we want to put our main focus, just because of the fact that we are busy men. So it would be very hard for us to keep up with every college football team in the league. That's plus everything else on top we do. But top 25 is where it's at, in my personal opinion. That's where everybody looks at. So
absolutely.
Let's go ahead and talk about the first game we got up, which is Kansas State at Oklahoma. That's 11 a.m. kickoff time on Fox. You can catch it. Number 3, Oklahoma and Kansas State. This is going to be kind of interesting, folks. Kansas State's the only team to beat Oklahoma last year. So the Sooners is looking for revenge. The Sooners has definitely probably got the team they're looking to go on. They're talking playoff talk. So which is what the Sooners do every year. They're always usually a pretty top elite team. At least in my lifetime, they have been.
Yeah.
So just about every year, especially since playoff time. So, who you got, Brandon?
As far as upsets, this was one of my upsets actually. You kind of hit the nail on the head. Kansas State was the only team to actually give Oklahoma a good run for their money last year. I can see them doing it again this year. I don't think they lost a whole lot of seniors. I think like 4 maybe. So they have a good, decent returning team. So Kansas State for the upset.
I'm gonna keep up with I was thinking about last night. I'm gonna keep up with all of mine and Brandon's picks.
There you go. Brandon Seeger, good morning. He says Kansas State, baby. He's a Kansas State fan.
Yeah, he's over there in Kansas, so yeah, I'm pretty sure he's pulling for Kansas State. Let's get one thing clear. I'm not a huge Sooner fan. Okay, I have a few Sooner jokes in the old bag, but I have to go Sooners, man. I have to go Sooners here just because of the simple fact that it's Oklahoma, man, and Oklahoma every year is looking. They usually dominate that conference, so
they definitely seem to improve every year.
Yeah, they've got better over the years, since definitely just the years of Texas and other teams who have slipped off in that conference over the years. You've got Oklahoma who has just been really dominating it for the most part. So once again, I think Oklahoma is going to have a fantastic year this year. I'm going to go for the Boomer Sooners for the win. I'm not going to pick scores because it's too hard right now. We've not seen one play, so
way too unpredictable.
So I'm going to go Sooners. And I got Brendan down for K-State. I'll add these up every week, and at the end of the season, we'll see who got the most points, kind of like how they do in the big leagues.
A little friendly competition.
Especially when we get around to that Auburn and LSU game. That's going to be really interesting. I
can't wait.
I can't wait for that.
Even though we know how that's going to end, but,
Right. They got the experts here. I'm looking on the internet, of course. I got to get some of my numbers off here. The experts are picking. Ooh, they got a 28 point favor, but there are out of the CBS team, which is about 8 of them all that do these picks. You got 9 or 10 or 12 of them or something it is. You got 4 or 5 of them that pick K-State. So some people you ain't the only one that thinks K-State that might could slide up in there and get it.
The potential's there. They just got to go and do it.
And this was your upset alert, right?
This was one of them, yes. I actually have 2.
Okay. We'll put the upset alert. And we can even add a little razzle-dazzle to something with the upsets if we get them right or something. All right, next up, you got number 5, Florida at Ole Miss. It's 11 a.m. kickoff time on ESPN, SEC ball. This is one of my upset alerts.
Florida versus Ole Miss. Okay.
Yep, Florida versus Ole Miss. This is one of my upsets. Florida's number 5 going into Ole Miss. You got Lane Kiffin, who just went over and took over the coaching job. I'm not a big fan of Kiffin. I've never liked him. But at the end of the day, he can run an offense. Ole Miss has got weapons. It's not like Ole Miss never had the weapons that was put together from the previous coach that was there. It's just that the simple fact that he never could get it put together. Then they got in that whole probation trouble where Ole Miss doing some dirty stuff, so ended up catching up with them. So you ask an Ole Miss fan, they said that was after they beat Alabama. Nick Saban called the NCAA on them. That's what I've been told by a couple of my Ole Miss fan buddies. He said, that shit didn't happen until we beat Alabama.
Well, being an LSU fan, I have Nick Saban jokes for days, but we're not going to touch on that. But Florida, man, they've got a good team this year. They've never been a bad team. They've always had problems capitalizing. So for them to be ranked number 5, meaning they had a pretty good team return.
Yeah, and they had a pretty good year last year compared to the year that the years that they have had previous since like maybe they've not been the shit since the Tebow days, but I definitely see Florida starting to put things together down there. They can say about what they want to about the coach running south down there to Florida and whatever the case may be, but he's putting together a team at Florida. And Florida, this is what some people don't understand. Whether you like Florida or not, the state of Florida is a dangerous place to play. If any of those teams in there can be dangerous any minute, because of the recruits that come out of the state of Florida. The recruits that come out of the state of Florida are phenomenal. Yes. Trust me, that's why Auburn and Alabama both run down there all the time trying to recruit for speed, because it's like the speed comes from Florida a lot, man. So if you get a decent head coach at Miami or Florida or any of those teams that are down there in Florida State, they always they easily win a championship, man. So I've got Ole Miss, and it kind of pains me to say just because I don't know, man. I'm just not a huge Ole Miss fan, but I'll pick Ole Miss here. I'll go Ole Miss over. That's going to be my one of my upsets. I think maybe just because I think Lane Kiffin has a point to prove. He failed at Florida. He failed at Tennessee in the SEC. He went out west. He failed. He come back, went to Alabama, rebuilt his name, went to a little small Florida school down there, and he put it together, man. I mean, they were winning. I mean, he was even kind of winning down there putting together a decent team. So you give Lane Kiffin some weapons, he can definitely put together a high power offense that can definitely burn your ass. So
I think you may be on to something, and I would like to see that. However, I got Florida winning. Lane Kiffin, there's a lot of pressure on him and this young team, so I think Florida is going to. I think Florida's going to walk in there and take the W and head back home.
Could very well happen. That is definitely a game that could go either way. It just depends on. You got to stop and think too, ladies and gentlemen, is that a lot of teams have them first game jitters, so you don't never know what's going to happen. Sometimes those first game jitters they're sloppy.
Regardless, it'll be a great game to keep up with and watch.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very good. Next up, we got number 23 Kentucky versus number 8 Auburn. 11 a.m. kickoff time on the SEC network.
We know who you're picking.
Well, Auburn has I think it was a 26. Don't hold it to me. It's 26 or 24-6 record against Kentucky.
Yeah,
they have dominated Kentucky. Auburn, I see Auburn coming back this year. Just from a fan standpoint, I want to pick Auburn, but also from a smarter standpoint, I'm going to pick Auburn just because of the simple fact. Bo Nix, as a freshman last year, he was the only quarterback behind Clemson's quarterback that threw the most accurate passes, without an interception. So,
right.
Bo Nix is definitely, I think, and he's buffed up. If people's not been paying attention, Bo Nix buffed up over the summer. He definitely got bigger. He's a whole lot bigger in the arms. He's a whole lot bigger in the chest. So he's definitely taking this role very, very seriously. Auburn has a very good offensive coordinator now. Gus Malzahn has completely handed over the offensive. He says he has anyway. Auburn fans, we pray that he has. That he's completely handed over the offense to this guy. Don't get me wrong. Gus can be an offensive genius at times, but at times he can really call some silly plays.
Yeah,
that makes me scratch my head. So I think everything that I've seen on Auburn through the preseason and spring training and everything, there is a couple of question marks to some of the spots that they have to fill on defense because some of the people that they lost. There is a couple of question marks on Auburn's offensive line. Auburn's offensive line was not real great last year. That was one of the things that didn't help Bo Nix at all. It's one of the things that there's a lot of times he didn't have time to set and throw, and it was because of the offensive line. And from what I'm hearing sometimes or here recently, it's not much better. It's a little bit better than it was last year, but it's still kind of sloppy. So, but this is Kentucky. Not to take nothing away from Kentucky, but it is Kentucky. I know Bob's trying to put something together over at Kentucky, and he's developed Kentucky better than what they have been. But I don't see him getting a win today. I've got Auburn winning big, actually. I've got Bo Nix coming out and setting an example. They'll go ahead and put his name and stamp Auburn as they're serious this year. With that new high-power offense that they're running down there. I think they're going to give Kentucky some real tricky looks that the defense is not going to know what's going on, and Auburn's going to burn them deep a couple of times. Nick's end up burning them deep a couple of times, maybe to Williams or someone over there. So I got Auburn winning big, man.
As much as it pains me, I have to agree with you. Auburn is definitely the better team here. The history books have proven it over and over and over. And I'm very excited to see what Auburn's quarterback is going to do. Like you said, he has improved. He has made it known he is improving. So I could definitely see these guys potentially maybe in the SEC championship game. They have the potential. They have the weapons. They now have the coaching. Let's see what happens. I got Auburn for the W.
Yeah, you got a great defensive coach in Kevin Steele at Auburn. They're going to be a very stubborn defense, kind of like how they was last year. I see them not letting Kentucky score a lot of points. Kentucky might slide in 1 or 2 touchdowns on them. maybe with a trick play or something like that, or catch a deep safety sleeping or something. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to number 13, Central Florida at East Carolina. That's 11 a.m. kickoff time on ABC. I'm going to have to go Central Florida here. I'll be honest with you guys. I've not looked at East Carolina's depth chart, but I'm pretty sure it's not really impressive. It's East Carolina. That's no shot towards East Carolina, but Central Florida's been dominating over there. They're just one of those small schools that just kind of came out of nowhere a couple of years ago. They beat Auburn. They beat a few other teams, big teams. So is it time for Central Florida? I think it is. I think they need to step up and go to the ACC or go maybe – I don't think they would fit in the SEC none, but maybe the ACC or
they definitely need to bump up into a bigger conference.
It seems like they're doing pretty good. They've been pretty consistent for a few years now, so it seems like they've kind of started to get it together down there at Central Florida. They're not the Central Florida of the past, so I've got them winning. I've got them going over. They'll probably go over pretty big. Probably something like 20-something to 7 or something.
I'm trying to see who they're playing with. I don't even see that game on my list.
Central Florida and East Carolina.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I apologize. Yeah, definitely. Central Florida's going to win that.
They are at East Carolina, but I just don't think East Carolina's still going to get it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. They definitely shocked everyone in the last 2 to 3 years. So why not continue? I do agree they need to bump up in class. They need to go to maybe ACC or some other division, maybe a smaller division. But the ACC would be a good fit for them. I really believe that.
I would like them to be in enough respectable division that, well, let's be real, so they couldn't cry no more. So if they go undefeated, they're in a respectable division that they're going to be ranked in the polls correctly, because they're never going to be probably taken to the playoffs or ranked up or number 1 or number 2, beating the teams that they beat, like in East Carolina. So I would like to see them.
But they are a dangerous team.
They are. They're very dangerous. That damn offense they run there is a high-power offense. It scores a lot of points. People didn't take them serious a couple of years ago when they played Auburn. I told everybody. I even told my fellow Auburn fans, don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. And they slept on them, and, man, they embarrassed Auburn in a bowl game. So they're definitely a team to look out for. For the past, like I said, a couple of years, they've had the argument that they should be in the mix and be in the talk of the playoffs. So next, you got up Georgia Southern at Louisiana.
Lafayette. Raging Cajuns.
The old Raging Cajuns. I'm going to take the Raging Cajuns. I've not seen much on them, but, I mean, if they're 19, that's pretty impressive for them.
It's very impressive for them. Very impressive. I don't really have a lot of complaints about the Cajuns. They upset a lot of teams last year. I can't remember quite who they did, but I remember they upset quite a few, and they were put on the map again. They give LSU a good run for their money every year. They're in the WAC division, I believe. So, yeah, definitely Raging Cajuns for the W. Georgia Southern, not a bad team. I just feel like they're just all over the place when it comes to offense. They don't really have a steady plan, and that concerns me going in. So, Louisiana Lafayette for the win.
Yeah, that's about what I got. You can catch that game on ESPN too. You also have up next, you got number 24, Louisville versus – this game could be very, very interesting on the AC4, number 21. Well, we know this is not the Louisville of Lamar Jackson. This ain't Lamar Jackson's Louisville, so –
For sure.
So, I don't know, man. Pitt is one of those teams that's not been successful in a pretty good while. They're one of those colleges I've seen that they're always like hanging down there somewhere in the 20s, top 21, top 30, somewhere in there. So this is a hard decision, man. This is really hard.
I'm going to put it like this. Unless Louisville comes out swinging, Pittsburgh is going to win. I've got Pittsburgh for the W. Louisville concerns me. They don't have a top quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
So, like I said, unless they come out and shine it like a diamond in the rough, Pittsburgh will dominate.
Mr. Pittsburgh. I'll go also with you with Pitt. I think Pitt gets it done. Like you said, there's question marks. There was question marks last year at their quarterback stance without Lamar Jackson. So I don't think that's going to be fixed any this year. They'll definitely win some games, I feel like, but I don't believe they'll end up being a contender this year. And I could be wrong. Don't shoot me. It is the beginning of the year, and I've not seen no one play. So
I just don't see it happening this year. They really haven't pumped anything out in the media about being excited going into the season. So, yeah, my gut's telling me to go with Pittsburgh.
Next up, you got two unranked teams. You got Georgia Tech at Syracuse. Georgia Tech and Syracuse on ESPN3. I'm pretty sure this ain't going to pull in no big views or nothing, but you got, so that's ACC ball, ain't it? No, it's ACC versus what is what's Syracuse in? They're in the slipped my mind. Sorry, guys.
Syracuse. You got me thinking now. I don't pay attention to them.
Why don't I know what league they're in? Oh, that totally slipped my mind, guys. It is early in the morning.
This is our first show, guys.
Yeah, it is early. It is early in the morning, but I got Syracuse going over, just because I like Georgia Tech. I pull for a little old Georgia Tech here and there when they have to play the Bulldogs, just because Georgia's one of our rivals. But I got Syracuse going over. I like Syracuse. I pull for them most of the time every year. That's why it pisses me off. I can't remember what league they're in.
I just had it. ACC.
ACC, that is ACC ball. I thought it was.
I'm gonna go with Georgia Tech.
You go Georgia Tech.
I'm gonna go Georgia Tech. They right now they're 1-1. Syracuse hasn't won a game yet, so yeah, Georgia Tech. I don't know if they still run the screen offense as much as they did a few years prior, but Georgia Tech has always impressed me with how they capitalize on the screen offense and run the zone plays. So I could see them doing pretty good against a powerhouse defense Syracuse is known for. Syracuse is a blitzing defense. So Georgia Tech for the win.
GT for the win. Yeah, it is impressive how Georgia Tech runs that damn offense. It's kind of like how Army runs it too, don't they?
Yeah,
Army runs it too. It's some people think it's boring, but if what some people don't understand, they don't really have the big stars to run it properly. But if that offense is run correctly, it is very damn hard to stop that offense.
yes.
If you got the stars to do it, it is very damn hard to stop it. And some people, even if when like Alabama and Auburn end up playing one of those teams that run them funky offenses like that, it even screws with them. It even screws with their defense, as good as their defenses are. So I wouldn't mind seeing someone in the SEC adopt some stuff like that if they had the talent to do it.
If they have the talent.
Yeah, if they had the talent to do it, it'd be impressive. Next up, you got Campbell and Appalachian State on ESPN Plus. I'm going to go with Appalachian State here just because of the simple fact I could not even tell you where the hell Campbell College is.
Yeah.
I've heard of them, but I don't know where they're at. I know who Appalachian State is, so
Yeah.
I'll go with them just because of that reason alone.
I'm gonna go Appalachian too. They've knocked off some pretty good teams too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're one of them teams that slide in there and get you.
They'll definitely get you if you're not paying attention.
Yep. You got Florida International at Liberty, 12 p.m. kickoff time on ESPNU. This is another one of those games that I mean, I'll watch it if it's on and I'm flipping through the channels, but I'm not gonna watch a lot of Florida International Liberty games. So I guess I'll just go Liberty, just because I know who it is.
I'll back you up on that play.
Liberty came to Auburn, I think, once or twice and played or something like that. You got Iowa State up against TCU on FS1. TCU's looking to finally maybe be that team over in the Big 12, along with Oklahoma. TCU's not ranked. Iowa State is not ranked also. So TCU kind of been they put it together a few years ago, but they've kind of slipped off since then. What is up with Texas teams, man? Don't you remember when we were kids? Because when I was kids, Texas teams were awesome. Now the Longhorns are like never really consistent, and Texas Tech and Texas A&M, like hey, this is the crazy thing. I'll go ahead and say this now. When Texas A&M and Missouri came into the SEC, I thought Texas A&M was going to be the team that was going to really give a lot of people trouble, or maybe even make it to the SEC championship. It ended up being Missouri.
Yeah,
twice. Missouri.
Twice.
They made it twice. So that was real shocking. They really did a 360 on me there. So the Texas teams are just not the Texas teams that they were when I was younger. But I got TCU here. I just think TCU's they're just a bigger college. They probably got more talent than Iowa State does. So I got TCU.
Yeah, definitely TCU, man. The TCU is they're one of my teams that I keep my eye on. They slipped. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? They were competing for the national championship.
Yeah, they were in the mix. The year that Auburn went, TCU was right there nipping at the heels of getting it. So, I mean, they're one of those teams. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. I mean, they're not real consistent. But I wouldn't mind seeing the Horned Toad slide on up there in the top 5 somewhere and whip some ass or something.
I'd definitely like to see it. It wouldn't upset me at all.
Next up, we got Tulane and Southern Miss. You got the Green Wave.
Whoa.
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to pull for Tulane. They're just one of those colleges, if you're a fan of college football and you look around and you look outside your own team, you can find a lot of traditions and a lot of little things about other little colleges that's just appealing, and I like the Green Wave, I always have. I like Tulane. I kind of like the way their stadiums look. Their little stadium looks down there and stuff in their field. So I'll pull for the Green Wave. Who you got?
Definitely Tulane, man. I'm an LSU boy, so Tulane's like a rival. So yeah, I see him coming out with a W.
Next up, you got SEC ball. Mississippi State at number 6, LSU's 2:30 kickoff time on CBS. You got LSU, who does not have their starting quarterback from last year, who went pro. LSU with a question mark at quarterback. Mr. Brandon, give us some kind of insight, since you are an LSU fan. What is the situation, and how confident are the fans down there about the quarterback that y'all have?
So the quarterback, you put me on the spot. I can't think of his name right now, but he is a very good replacement for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow cannot be replaced. He's a very good quarterback. He's been with the team. I think this is his third year now. He's finally getting his start. The fans are going to back whatever Ogeron wants, and he played a few snaps, I think, in the SEC game, and done great. Hitting players on the sidelines. Beautiful passing. He's a very good leader for this team. He controls the offense well. I've got LSU winning. Mississippi State's always given us a run for our money. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, they've always gave us a little bit of problem. So this will be a good test for him going in. But if the offense works well together and he shows that he's a leading front for that offense, I don't see it being no problem. Ed Ogeron's done some great things, and he doesn't recruit bad talent so far. We did lose a lot of seniors, so it is very concerning going in. However, there's a lot of second string that was watching last year that got to have good examples put before them. So, yeah, LSU's looking strong in my opinion. LSU for the win.
LSU for the win, and they got that brutal SEC schedule coming up. LSU and Mississippi State both do. Of course, if you watch any kind of football, that's one thing about the SEC. They really beat up on each other all year. So I got LSU for the win. I don't think Mississippi State gets it done here.
LSU's quarterback named Miles Brennan.
Miles Brennan. All right. You got Ed Orgeron down there, defending national champions LSU, who shocked everyone last year and come out. Ed Orgeron, the coach that Ole Miss fired because he couldn't get the job done over there, and he really wasn't a contender for many head coaching jobs under my impression. Les Miles gets pushed out. Ed Orgeron comes in. A lot of people kind of chuckled. Ed ends up putting together a national championship team and going and winning it all. And no one understood a damn word of his victory speech, but he pulled it off. Didn't need to, you know. Ed Orgeron's a good coach, man. I like coaches that players respond to. I feel like that was where the gears kind of shifted gears at LSU. You had Les Miles, who I believe is just a different type of coach than Ed Orgeron is. Ed Orgeron is just like so humble and so about his players, and he's from down there. So that makes it all. It was just like one of those dreams jobs, I'm pretty sure, for Ed. So
it definitely was. They actually did. They're working on a documentary, I believe, right now. His mom, they interviewed her and how he was. They were all hardcore LSU fans. His dad's dream for him was to become an LSU player. Little fun fact: Ed Ogeron got offered an LSU scholarship. Went and played for 2 weeks and then quit. Said he couldn't take it, so his dad was hard on him like the rest of his life and was like, you know, you're your own worst enemy, yada yada yada. Anyway, long story short, he became a head coach, and Lord behold, he found himself back at LSU. It's a very good story. You look it up. I think 60 Minutes done that interview with him. Go look that up. Very, very interesting.
Next up, we got Texas versus they're at Texas Tech. It's number 8 Texas at Texas Tech. 2:30 kickoff time. Fox at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. This is one of the games I kind of looked at, and I almost put it possibly on my upset. Just because Texas Tech has been one of those teams that's been upset in Texas here recently in the past few years. Do you see who you got going in? Does Texas go over here? Do they compete this year? The Longhorns haven't competed really for a national championship in a long minute, and that kind of is shocking because the Longhorns is one of those big colleges you just expect to always be in the mix, at least over for a Big 12 championship every year.
So this is my other upset. Texas Tech beating Texas. Texas came in very cocky last year. LSU put them in their place. Very good game, but they just have not been the same since. Texas Tech, however, you don't sleep on Texas Tech. Texas Tech will come in and just destroy you. You won't even know what happened. They're very good contenders with Oklahoma as well. Texas Tech for the win. Texas, I feel like, and if you're a Texas fan, I apologize for what I'm going to say. I feel like Texas sometimes is very overrated just because of their history. Very good team in the past. Uh, as of late, not so much. Like Tommy was saying, whenever we were kids growing up, Texas was the team to beat. Texas was if you weren't a Longhorns fan, you weren't shit.
Yeah, they're
So,
starting to bring. They're trying to bring back those glory days. They tried to run it out with Charlie Strong. It didn't work out. Him over as a head coach. A lot of people, me included, actually thought Strong was going to turn the Texas program around, and he didn't. And I was very disappointed to see that because I am a Charlie Strong fan. So I was very disappointed to see that. I thought he was going to be able to turn the Longhorns around, and he couldn't do it. I got Texas Tech going over here also. Just because I think this is just might be one of those upset alerts that no one sees coming. Maybe because it's first game jitters. They're at Texas Tech. I know the fans are not so much of, or some people saying the fans ain't gonna be so much of an issue, but I've heard a few college stadiums so far that was pretty loud. So even with the small amount of fans that was around, so we're gonna see. I got Texas Tech. Let's scroll down here to next up. We got number 22 Army at number 14 Cincinnati. It's an ESPN game at 2:30. This is another tough one. I see Mr. Brennan had to step away for 5 seconds, so I'll go ahead and roll on a little bit without him. He'll be right back. Army and Cincinnati. The Bearcats for the past couple of years is another one of those teams that hang around mid 14, mid 16, top 20. They'll slowly sometimes start disappearing somewhere towards the middle of the season. Army, if I'm not mistaken, ain't they the ones that had that previous game? Let's see here. I think they've done played a game this year, if I'm not mistaken. Army has. The Army is 2-0 this year. So who else did they beat? They got wins over Louisiana Monroe. That's who it was. They beat Louisiana Monroe 37-7, and they beat MTSU 42-0. So, Army's looking pretty good this year.
yeah, Army's looking very, very strong.
You know what? I'm going with Army.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Army too. Just another sleeper team. Army's very dangerous in a sense that you don't expect it. A lot of your military schools are very underrated. Army's one of those teams. Yeah, I've got Army for the win. Josh Clippert, a fan, says, I'm gonna go with Cincy.
He gonna go with the Bearcats, huh? He gonna go with the Bearcats. I mean, it's one of those things, like we were talking earlier. It could play out either way, just because of the fact the way Army runs their offense. You don't know exactly how it's going to play out with the Bearcats. So, but I got Army going over just because I got to pull for Army. I always want to see like Army and Air Force and those guys succeed. Navy. I always want to see them succeed. The Army and Navy game is one of the games I look forward to every year. I look forward to that game every year. I don't care if neither one of them's ranked. I don't care if neither one of them didn't win but 2 or 3 games the entire season. I want to see that game every year. So,
for sure.
Let's see here. Let me click back here, guys. Lost where I was.
Let's see. Have you went over West Virginia and Oklahoma State yet?
No. I'm getting it, I think. I think it's
Okay.
next. Yep, that's where we're at next. West Virginia and Oklahoma State. This is going to be a good game. 2:30 kickoff time on ABC. They're at Oklahoma State. I got Oklahoma State going over just because of the simple fact that Oklahoma State has been knocking on the door for the past couple of years. The Cowboys are one of those teams that are starting to get their momentum going over up there at Oklahoma State. I think they're sick and tired of living maybe in the Boomer Sooner shadow up there. I see Oklahoma State having a decent year this year, possibly even giving Oklahoma a run for their money. I got Oklahoma State by 2 touchdowns. Easily.
Oh, wow.
2 touchdowns.
I have to second that. Oklahoma State's going to pull this one off. West Virginia, I mean, I don't know. They can't seem to get their act together.
They've not been good for really, really competitive, I guess, maybe since,
probably 04, 05. It's been a long time, but a lot of that's to do with bad recruiting, bad coaching plays. You know, they need to have a sit down and really reform that team.
Just stop and think if we go all the way back to the days of that big head coach they had there, just think of what would have happened scenario if he wouldn't have left West Virginia and went to Michigan.
Oh, wow.
I think about that all the time because West Virginia was good those years he was there, and he was starting to put together the team there, man. You could see it. The West Virginia was building momentum those couple of years he was a head coach there, man, and he just went to Michigan and flopped, and I think he ended up going to Arizona State after that and flopping or something, or I can't remember exactly where all he went. But if he would have stayed there, man, we might be talking about West Virginia might be a dynasty by now.
For sure. Joshua Clipper says it's going to be a tough one. Oklahoma has a hell of a program. West Virginia's been floppy since the battle plans. With battle plans since 03.
He's talking about the same thing we're talking about.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I got Oklahoma State. Like I said, I think Oklahoma State is going to be a contender this year over there with the Big 12 in Oklahoma. So
I hope they beat Oklahoma this year. Like you said, they're tired of living in that shadow. So Oklahoma State.
This could be a very well high scoring game. This might not be a
but I don't see it.
But
I kind of see it being more one-sided.
Next up, we got UTEP at Louisiana Monroe on ESPN2. It's 2:30 kickoff time. I'm gonna go with Louisiana Monroe.
Got to go with ULM, man. The Warhawks. They upset Alabama. And Alabama was a top team a few years ago. I remember I was up there dealing with some personal business, and we pulled into an IHOP to eat, and a lot of pissed off Alabama fans were in there. They just could not believe that little old Louisiana Monroe beat up Alabama, and they even threw a parade together. It was crazy. The city of Monroe was cutting up. But ULM definitely for the win.
ULM for the win. I got the same. So next up, we got number 4, Georgia at Arkansas. 3 o'clock kickoff time. ESPN. I'm sorry, that's SEC Network. Man. Sorry, Arkansas fans. I got Georgia winning big here. I just don't see. I think Arkansas is they're starting to get back on the right track of years ago, but it just ain't that. It's just not there yet. Kirby's got all those 5-star, 4-star recruits coming over at Georgia. Georgia's a team that is very scary. They're a team to take serious every year ever since Kirby has showed up for sure. I got Georgia winning big at Arkansas.
I might have to second that. I got Georgia winning. I'm not gonna say big. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be one-sided either. I think it may be tick for tack there for at least for the first half. But Georgia definitely comes out with the W.
Yeah, I could definitely see maybe Georgia come out a little bit shaky, at the beginning, just because it's first game jitters a little bit.
Right.
Maybe a couple turnover, maybe not a turnover, but maybe a couple third downs that don't work out in Arkansas. Maybe score a field goal or something, or it kind of be close to after half, maybe. But then I got Georgia kind of maybe pulling away after that. Next up, you got Duke at Virginia, 3:00 kickoff time, ACC Network. We got ACC ball here, conference game.
How you doing, Michael Stowe?
I'm gonna pull for Duke here, man. Duke and Virginia is not. Duke is definitely not a football school by no means. Not in my lifetime, anyway. They're definitely a basketball school, but Duke's one of those teams. A couple years ago in the ACC, they made a little noise. So Virginia's not made much noise in the past couple years over there. So I'm gonna give it to Duke, just because.
I have to agree. Virginia's just not the better team here. Duke has proven over and over and over again what kind of team they can produce. So I'm excited to see it, Duke.
Next up, you got two unranked teams. You got Texas Tech at Boston College, ESPN 3, 5:00 kickoff time. I'm going Boston College. I just don't see Texas State getting a win here over Boston College just because, it's Texas State. But you never know. Boston College hasn't been real fantastic the past couple of years. So,
well,
they always consistently, Boston College usually consistently gets an average to decent good quarterback. And they usually have an average to decent receiver or average to decent running back. So I think they get the win.
Well, I don't think they have either this year. I'm going to go with them Cowboys.
Oh, look at there. Going to take Texas State.
I'm going to take Texas State. They're a team that has to be groomed. I think they've been trying to do a pretty good job of that so far in the offseason. If I'm not mistaken, I read they have a big returning senior class, so they may be a contender this year.
This would also be allegedly an upset alert if Texas State beats Boston College. Even though it's not a ranked team, it would be an upset for sure because Boston College definitely has some enriched history in football, more than Texas State does. So
it would definitely roll some eyes and shake some heads.
Yeah. Next up, we got number 2, Alabama at Missouri. 6:00 kickoff time on ESPN. Much as it pains me, ladies and gentlemen, I got Bama going over big here. Big win. Missouri might hang around the first couple of quarters unless Alabama's quarterback situation has not been fixed. I don't know how much faith that Alabama has in Mac Jones. I know that what we seen at the end of last year, Auburn's defense dominated him, but that was just. But let's be real, he didn't have a lot of time. He had not had a couple of snaps here and there from a blowout or something. So you really couldn't tell much about the guy. I know some Alabama fans are beating their chest saying he's the next great quarterback down there, that he was great in high school. But let's be real. To me,
they do that with every quarterback. They do that with every quarterback.
They do that with every quarterback they have, in my opinion, when they come in there. And to me, some Alabama quarterbacks that we thought was really, really great was not really, really great. They was just the system they're in. Nick Saban has usually a kick-ass line every year. Nick Saban has stacks of 4- and 5-star wide receivers. Nick Saban has stacks of 4- and 5-star running backs, not including he has a stack of 4- and 5-star defensive players. The only weakness that you could probably point on at Alabama every year is usually their kicker. That is usually their weakness out of every football team since Nick Saban has took over at Alabama and completely changed the program down there from the failure that it was of underneath the other hands of other coaches since Gene Stalin. So,
it pains me as well. Probably me more than you.
Oh, I don't know, man. I've had to live in the same state with them. They're as much as y'all were rivals. They much as they hate LSU, I don't know, man. I just don't think y'all rival is as big as ours is with them. So
probably not. Well, we probably hate them just as much.
Yeah, probably. But I got Bama. I got Bama
Yeah.
big. I got Mac Jones having a show-off day against a very weak Missouri defense. I don't think Missouri's D is very, very strong this year. Missouri's probably one of the topper teams. If you had to look at the East, they could be a sleeper team that some people are kind of overlooking. They could slide up to that East standings. They could shock a lot of East teams, and they've done it in the past. So don't think they can't do it again. I just think Alabama's got their number here.
I have to agree. I think Alabama's going to win, but I hope and pray Missouri walks all of them.
Deep down, me too. Deep down, me too. That would be a hell of an upset to start the year. Number 2, Bama falls to Missouri, but I just don't see it happening. Next up, you got Houston Baptist, wherever the hell that's at Louisiana Tech. I'm gonna have to take Tech here, man. I've never even heard of Houston Baptist. Where do they come from? Do they just
I don't think they've been on the scene very long, but they are in that SWAC conference. Them Bulldogs are strong. They're mean. They have always had a good defense for their conference. So Louisiana Tech for the W.
They Tech. All right. That one's at 6 o'clock, by the way, ESPN 3. Next up, you got Stephen F. Austin at the SMU. I love SMU. They're a team that always sucks, but always pull for SMU. They don't never do nothing, but the Mustangs, I'm going to have to go with them. I just don't see Stephen F. Austin winning at SMU. That game's at 6 o'clock, ESPN Plus, I believe it is.
I love his comment. The unknown Houston team.
The unknown Houston team. I have no idea. I've never heard of them, and I know some colleges, man, and I've never heard of them. But
I have to agree with you, Tommy. I think they're going to win. It's just one of those games I'm not really that interested in, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I keep up with all of it, so
yeah, for sure.
Which these guys, we say top 25. These are the games that are this week. We have went outside the top 25 some, but I said the hell with it. I wouldn't go through and separate them all. All right, you had Vanderbilt at Texas A&M. You got Vanderbilt at Texas A&M, number 10 Texas A&M, 6:30 kickoff time, SEC alternate network. It says. Oh man, how shocking would it be if Vanderbilt could go in there and get the win at Texas Tech?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. I'm sorry.
If Vandy did that, I would be very shocked. Very shocked.
They'd be dropping anchors all year, wouldn't they? They wouldn't even care. They wouldn't care. They lose every game. We beat Texas A&M.
You know what? But that for them, it would be an upset. It would be huge for them.
It would be huge.
That's almost Peach Bowl worthy for them. It's.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna happen. I got Texas A&M going over. They are on probation, ain't they? Are they on probation? Did they get in trouble for something, or was that over? Or did they end up getting off on? I can't remember if they're still on. If they end up getting Senate, if they end up getting a year for it or not. But I got Texas A&M. You got Texas too, right?
Yeah. I don't remember. We need to look into that. That is a good question. Maybe our fans could enlighten us on that.
Because I could have swore that 5 seconds right here.
With the power of the internet, Tommy searches for the answer.
Let's see. Got it right here. It's Texas A&M on probation. Yep. Texas A&M was placed on probation, and Coach Jimbo Fisher was given 6 months showcase order by the NCAA on Thursday night after the Aggies were found to have violated recruiting and other rules beginning in January of 2018. So basically, Texas A&M's year, it don't matter no way. So, but this would still be a big win for Vanderbilt if Vanderbilt go in there and win. How do you feel about them letting teams that are on probation stay ranked? I've never liked that.
I definitely don't agree with it. I feel like you're not letting them compete. You know what I mean? So if you want to give them a rank, then give them a rank, but it shouldn't affect the other teams.
Yeah, like maybe if say, let's just say, for instance, if Miami was number 10, then you would just say Miami and Texas Tech stays tied at number 10. You don't allow them to go up. You don't allow Texas A&M to go up or down. You just leave them pretty much floating. But you still give the other teams credit for beating, I guess maybe beating them or something for having a decent team, for being ranked. There's a lot of ways that could go. There's a lot of arguments and holes and everything with that. But I just really hate that when someone's on probation that they still get to, you don't want to take away their season from them, not let them play at all. But it kind of sucks because they're just playing spoiler all year. Really Texas
Right.
Now Texas A&M could just be anybody's spoiler, even though they violated. It don't matter though. I still got Texas going over. I don't see Vanderbilt beating them. I would love it though. I would not be mad if Vanderbilt got there and got a win and brought a little limelight to their program over there. Next up, you got Florida State. This is a rivalry game. Florida State at number 12, Miami, ABC, 6:30 kickoff time. I seen Miami play the other night, and I'm here to tell you, Miami is looking damn good.
Miami's looking very good.
Miami.
Vince King, go Tigers. Yes, indeed. Miami could potentially win this by a long shot. They've got the run game down. So, yeah, Florida State, they're going to have to come out swinging and really impress me to convince me that they're going to pull this one off.
Yeah, I got the Hurricanes. I got the Hurricanes going.
Easy.
Yeah, Florida State's definitely fell off. They definitely fell off since the years of a couple years ago of Jimbo Fisher. So, of course, everybody knows now. Like what we just said, Jimbo's at Texas A&M now with on probation. But Florida State still has some key players. Don't get me wrong. Florida State still gets those good recruits. They're a team they're still dangerous, even if they're not ranked every year. You have to look out for them just because of the damn players they can get down there in Florida. They have like one of the best recruiting places. So, all right, we're going to move it along. We got number 16, the Tennessee Volunteers at South Carolina. This is one of my upset alerts. I got the Gamecocks going over the Vols. I think the Vols goes in too cocky. Number 16, they overlook South Carolina a little too much. Will Muschamp's been putting it together up there at South Carolina for the past couple of years. I love Will Muschamp. He's a former defensive coordinator at Auburn. He's been there twice. He was a defensive coordinator back when Auburn went undefeated back in the early 2000s, and they didn't get to go to the national championship. The year they were screwed out of it, I think they only had one loss, and a 2-loss team ended up getting in over them. That was before they fixed some of the rankings the way they are now. We didn't have a playoff then. Then he come back a few years, prior years of Gus Malzahn. When Gus Malzahn first come back, he brought Will back, and Will come back for one season and then went on to the Gamecocks, where he's doing okay, man. I mean, he's doing a lot better than his previous head coaching job he was allowed to have.
Yeah,
he's put South Carolina back together a little bit. He's doing just as good as Steve Spurrier was doing up there, in my opinion. He's definitely put together a good defense. He's a great defensive coach. I got him upset in Tennessee, though. I think Tennessee's going to go in and they're going to get beat.
I have to agree, man. I don't understand how Tennessee is ranked 16. To be honest, I know they had a decent year last year, but the better team, in my opinion, also is going to be South Carolina.
South Carolina, let's go Gamecocks. I'm not a Tennessee fan by no means, but Tennessee has been falling off for the past couple of years. They've not the Tennessee I remember from.
No.
They're not the Tennessee I remember. They definitely need to work some kinks out that's going on over there. It's not the Phil Former days anymore. All right. Well, next up we got Kansas and Baylor. This is a very good game. This is a Big 12 conference game. I got Baylor here. Kansas, who has Les Miles, if I'm not mistaken, ain't that where he went?
Yeah.
Still very, very early. Kansas, didn't they have a game? They done lost one game this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they had a game not long ago. I could be wrong. Don't hold it to me. I don't think Les Miles has got them quite there yet. I think maybe if you give him another year or two there at Kansas. Kansas was almost at the bottom of the list, guys. I mean, they were pretty horrible nationally ranked. They were horrible offensively nationally ranked. They were horrible defensive nationally ranked. So Les definitely has his work cut out at Kansas, but it's nice to see that he did get a job after LSU.
Yeah.
Even if it was at Little Old Kansas. But I got Baylor for the win here.
Yeah, I do too. Like you said, it's very early. Les Miles is a good coach. Don't get me wrong. He
good coach, but he ain't God. People, he can't work miracles like that fast at Kansas. If he goes in there and has a great season at Kansas, I'm gonna be shocked, man. I'm gonna be like, okay, he really put it together because they were horrible.
The only issue I really have with Les Miles, he makes bad decisions at the wrong times.
Yeah,
and that's what crippled his career at LSU. But definitely, Kansas is not going to win this one, I'm afraid.
Next up, you got NC State at Virginia Tech, number 20, Virginia Tech. That's a 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff time, ACC Network. I got Virginia Tech going over here. I think before the week is out, after a few of these other teams lose, I see Virginia Tech maybe possibly moving up to the top 15. This could possibly be a better Virginia Tech team that we've seen in a while from what I'm hearing. So
from what we're hearing, Virginia Tech could surprise a lot of people. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad about it. They've been needing to get over for a very, very long time. They deserve it. North Carolina State, I just don't see it happening. So Virginia Tech for the W.
Next up, you got Troy at number 18, BYU, 9:15 kickoff time. That's a late kickoff time. ESPN. I have got to pull for Troy here just because of the simple fact Troy is in Alabama. Troy is pretty connected. I didn't live near Troy, but we all love Troy just like we love UAB in Alabama. So I got to pull for Troy. And realistic, BYU probably wins, but I'm gonna go with Troy.
If I could if I could call in another upset, it would be Troy. Troy is one of those teams. They're very dangerous, just like the Raging Cajuns or ULM or some of these smaller teams. You don't sleep on them. They know how to execute on defense. They've proven over and over they can shut down a high power offense. Their defensive coordinator definitely knows what he's doing down there. I'm gonna pull for Troy. Joshua Clifford says, I'm saying BYU. Well, my friend, it could happen, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. That is it. That is all the games that we have for this week. Another mention is they did have some that were postponed. You had number 7 Notre Dame at Wake Forest that was postponed. You had Georgia State at Charlotte that was postponed. Tulsa at Arkansas State that was postponed. South Florida at Florida Atlantic that was postponed. And also North Texas at Houston that was postponed. Also to mention is, from my understanding, the Pac will be playing before the month of October is up. They're only playing something like 7 games. It's definitely a big question mark up in the air about how they're going to judge these games and who gets into playoff pictures and who gets into what with how many games they're playing. If they're only playing 7 games, it's definitely you definitely think it would eliminate them completely out. Considering we know the SEC is playing 10, so. And then you got the Big 12 and them who are playing, and ACC that are playing, and some of these guys have been playing already for 2 or 3 weeks. So I just don't understand how they're going to factor in the Pac now, unless the Pac just ends up having to go ahead and stretch it on out and play another couple of games.
It's going to be very, very interesting. It almost makes the whole ranking system obsolete. I mean, your number 1 and number 2 teams could play less games than some of these other teams who have pulled off more W's. It's going to be a very, very difficult season. I'm glad I don't work for the NCAA right now. That would be
because I promise you, if they've got some hate mail in the past, just wait till they leave some of these other teams out because of whatever reason it may be, and they are going to get some major hate mail. Even though people shouldn't be bitching regardless, because we have football. We wouldn't have been supposed to get it.
Exactly.
Now, if you can't blame other conferences for stepping up and moving on, you can't do that. So maybe write the leader of the conference and bitch to them, because it's not Auburn's fault or Alabama's or Georgia's or anyone in the Big Ten or anyone like that decided to go ahead and play while everyone else is sitting out. So
yeah, I would definitely like to see maybe like your top conferences maybe do like a tournament style something till we get to the national championship. I know it never happened that way, but to me,
I always
that's
wanted
the more fair way to do it.
me too, and I always wanted the playoff to kind of be to stop, because everyone bitched from like a Central Florida standpoint or something like that. I always wanted it to be, if you won your conference, you got to make it to a playoff.
Yeah.
That's why. Because then there's no naysay, no one can gripe, because whether you won, okay, let's say you go undefeated, well, they're in a shitty conference. Well, okay. Well, come playoff time, that gets proven. You know what I mean? But until then, they deserve a right to be there because they went undefeated.
Right.
So, if they wanted to do something like that, I would love that. If they just let every winner from every conference, slide into the playoff picture, and they did it that way, that would be awesome, man. I would love it.
It'd be really good. Very, very. I mean, that's really how it should be anyway.
Right. That's really how it should be. I mean, even if you had to even if you want to do it in the future and you had to cut season play down a game or two, to make up for the extra games you had to play in the playoff, I wouldn't even be mad about that.
Not at all.
Just don't go moving stuff like, there for a minute they were talking like moving Auburn to the East. I about cried. I was like, don't move Auburn to the East.
No.
What are you doing? You know how many games you're going to run if you do that? Like that creates, I love us being in the West. I don't want us in the East. And it's nothing, as a jokester, I disrespect the East all the time, because of the West and East rival, because, in my opinion, the West does have the toughest side that we have to play through, because we have to go to LSU and we have to go to Alabama, but at the end of the day, SEC ball is SEC ball, and it's all tough. It don't make a damn if it's in the East or the West. So, but I didn't want to be in the East because I just feel like I love us being. I love the fact that we have to compete in the West with LSU and Alabama and those teams like that. I think the East is just fine the way it is. You got Georgia and Florida, and those guys over there competing every year for the East. So I want to leave it like that. I don't want to switch it. Leave it just the way it is.
Joshua Clipper says that would bring back a lot of passion and pride back overall. I think definitely be more entertaining. Yeah, we absolutely 110% agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would just hate to be a NCAA shot caller right now because, like you said, the hate mail, the complaints, the naysayers, we didn't get a fair chance, all that's fixing to take place. But be thankful, guys, we have college football because it wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to happen, and it took a bunch of conferences stepping up saying we're doing it anyway for everything else to fall in line.
Yeah,
now,
I about cried. I thought I was going to cry.
I did too.
It was like, because it was such a horrible year, and I was like, and it's me being a college football fan, people just don't get it. That ain't college football. That was like my one relief in my head. I was like, well, I'm trapped in this house, but college football's in a couple of months. That was like the one thing I went through my head. I was like, well, college football's here in a couple of months. If we all have to be trapped in the house, we can at least watch college football.
But of course, we want everybody to stay safe. The whole COVID-19 pandemic has forever changed the way we view things. 2020 has been an eye-opener of a lot of situations.
Yes.
But be thankful we have college football. Not trying to get religious here, but thank God we have some relief. We can watch our college football teams do what they do best and give us enjoyment in life. So, with that being said, it's we're 10 minutes. We're 50 minutes away from kickoff for the SEC season. Do you have anything else you want to cover, Tommy?
No, man, that's about it. Join us next week. It'll be a little bit more interesting. We actually got some stats and some wins of some of these top 25 teams. Like I said, it's the first show. Yeah, it would have sucked without football, man. I got to have it, man. I got to have my sports. It kills me not having it,
Absolutely. But yeah, like Tommy was saying, tune in next week. We're going to actually have some stats for you guys. We're going to go over wins and losses and then cover what's coming up next. Tommy, you may have to have a co-host next week, right?
Do what now?
You may have to have a co-host because I may not be here. So
Okay.
we're going to announce that later. We're going to get all that taken care of. We will be putting on a show. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Do what you guys do. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show.
And go watch all of our catch up. Go make sure you catch all of our podcasts and stuff. It's over at Pinfall Productions, because without Pinfall, all this don't happen. I got, everybody knows I got a podcast. Brandon has a couple. They do a couple of little shows over there, so it's all entertaining. It runs through all our Facebooks and our Facebook pages and stuff. So you can catch us. Make sure you go over and like and subscribe on all of our stuff, please, and thank you. Comment.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the GridIron Top 25, and till next week.
War Damn Eagle.